Hey, this is Glover Teixeira, UFC light heavyweight champion.
Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, fight family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Munoz.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I am Alexei Olenek, and welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want One Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi everybody from American Top Picks.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I have Chris Reilly here with us. Chris Reilly is the line setter for Monkey Knife Fight. So he's going to join us, walk through some of these lines, some of the movement, and we're going to talk about them a little deeper. If you don't know what Monkey Knife Fight is it is daily fantasy prop games. Essentially, Chris here comes up with strike lines. We take a look at them and we decide if they're high or low, if we think the fighter will land more or less than those strike lines. And if we are right, we will get paid and we will win some money. Check it out now at wewantpicks.com/MKF. If you use promo code WWP, they will instantly match your deposit up to $100. Ton of fun, super easy. Use the free money and play with some of these lines. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Angelo. It has been a long time. And for the people that don't know, I have been serving a suspension since moving a line on Angelo and during a live stream. So I'm back. I won't do it again, but, let's go through some fights. It's a good weekend, though. I'm definitely excited to be back, man.
I actually completely forgot about that. So anybody who didn't see that, I was doing a video just like this with Chris talking about one of his lines. I forget if I thought it was high or low. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get you on this one. And literally as I was clicking the button, he adjusted on his end and it did not accept my play. But oh well. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these lines. Let's look at the main event. You mentioned this is a great card, a very, very good card. So main event, we've got a rematch. Israel Adesanya fighting Robert Whittaker. They're running it back. First fight, Izzy stopped Robert Whittaker in the second round. So obviously they were nowhere near these numbers in their first fight. But I think the general consensus is that this fight will go a little bit longer. Chris lives near a racetrack. The consensus will go that this fight will go longer. It'll be far more competitive. So the line that you've set here is now at 110 strikes for Israel Adesanya, 73 for Robert Whittaker. And I think you've moved this line, right?
Yeah, we had to move this one up a bit. And, it makes sense when you look at it. This fight to go to a decision right now is basically it's a pick 'em with a slight lean to go to a decision. So we got to account for 25 minutes. And, it's just kind of funny because Izzy's one of those people, he's not a high volume guy, but what he is a consistent volume guy. And when you actually look at his fight logs, especially all the ones that went 5 rounds, he has 122. Well, I guess we don't want to count the one against Romero, but 119, 127. And there you go. They're all kind of in the same range. So I actually moved him up because we were at 90 getting hit with overs. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why people are taking the over on this one just because of the way the Vegas odds are going with the distance of the fight. So, and I was actually listening to what you guys were when you broke it down. And, it's kind of funny how, I don't know if you saw the response Izzy had to Whittaker about how he said he was going to actually pull that up. Oh, shit, where did that go? Oh, yeah, because he keeps saying he's going to do the same game plan, and he got the blueprint. But Izzy said you said the same thing with Gastelum, and he was going to help you out. And how'd that turn out for you? He's like, do your own homework, man. Izzy's like one of the best, so I think Izzy's going to be prepared for him to do that thing, and it might go the distance. And if it does, we have a pretty decent idea of where he's going to land. And I just had Whittaker way too low, which happens. I've told you that multiple times.
Yeah, I think the line is solid. I think it's a good line. And if you think this goes to a decision, I think more and more is a pretty safe play. You'll make some money. And if you don't, then less is a pretty safe play. I think if there's a stoppage, it's probably similar to last time where second, third round, because Robert Whittaker is going to come charging in as he did in the first fight. He had some success with that, charging in, landing some shots, and then get caught. I think if Robert isn't caught early, I don't think he'll get caught late. I think the longer the fight goes, the more it may benefit him. I think the first couple of rounds benefit Izzy because it gives him enough time to find his timing, settle in. But then by the third, fourth, fifth round, even though Izzy may be settled in, if that fight's still going and it's still that far, that means Robert might have been working in some takedowns, might have been implementing his game plan. So it's an interesting fight. Izzy, nasty kickboxer, puts a ton of people away, but then also, can't put away others. So it's an interesting matchup here. And I honestly think the play, go more if you think it goes to a decision, less if you think there's a stoppage here, regardless of the side. That's pretty much, because I think even if Robert Whittaker does get some wrestling in there and stuff, I think Izzy will still get past that strike count in 5 rounds, because let's look at, he just fought Marvin Vettori. He was taken down 4 times and he got past this number in that fight. So,
122 strikes in that one, and went to all. So that, to be real with you, sometimes I said like, this is a line where I'm comfortable taking under money. So if people want to come in on the unders, because if it goes all 5 rounds, he should probably get there. I mean, he's done it most of the other time, so we'll see how it comes in. So that's where my mindset is with that line, is just hopefully we take some under money, and then I'm just cheering for what Vegas is saying is going to happen with the fight, and it goes to a decision.
Yeah, it's solid. It's a solid line, and the logic is sound there. So let's take a look at a couple more fights. I'm going to click on Derek Lewis. How hard is it for you to set lines for Derek Lewis, who basically throws no punches?
Actually, I changed my mind. At first, I said it was really hard, but it's not hard at all. It's just make it really low. And gosh, I feel like he's fighting quite a bit. I mean, I guess he just fought a month or I don't know.
Yeah, this is a quick turnaround.
We talk about him, and it's always the same. I know you keep saying that on your podcast, but I mean, let's just go down the list of his last couple fights: 14, 16, 7, 35. 27. I mean, 32. 7-5. I mean, it's like, so obviously it's not going to go too high. And just kind of put it in the middle ground. And then I'm just letting you guys decide if you think it gets there. I mean, he shockingly does have some fights that I saw, like his ceiling. If you want, he has a 52 in 2017. And then, and he has a 60 in 2015. So, I mean, his ceiling, which is like the highest possible strike count, and that was 5 years ago. I don't know if his cardio can keep up with him to throw that many punches again in a fight. So maybe 50. So, just cut it in half. I don't know. Derek Lewis, man. What is it? Louis versus Shuey. Should be a good one.
It is fun. It should be a really fun fight. Listen, going more is hard to do when you just.
That's what people are doing so far, not to cut you off. But I do. It's not a lot, but the early lean's over, and it's just like, all right, have you guys seen this guy fight before? Go for it. I'm not shaking in my boots to move him up, and I'm sure as hell not going to bump Derek Lewis to a 35 or anything. I won't even touch it. That will not go up. I promise you that.
You'll leave it there for us. It is tricky because it's hard to hear the numbers you just listed. Some of them single digits, and then say more. But I do think he will probably get past 24, because I think Ty is tough, and I think he'll hang, and he can take some of those shots. Not the big ones, but he could take some of those shots. So I do like
not the big ones. Wait, does he have other shots that aren't big ones? I mean, he's only got one speed, and that's why these are so low. It's not like he's pitter-pattering jabs. He's just grip it and rip it every shot. I said, I'm with Jacob on this. I listened last night, and Jacob said, I think in that first exchange, it's going to be over, and it's going to be one way or the other. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll keep these low. But I do have Ty a little higher just because of the sake. He may throw in those leg kicks,
Yeah, the leg kicks could add up.
So, and 37 is not very much. Or, we could be shocked. If it's a snooze fest, you guys could be in trouble, because I could easily see this being a snooze fest 3-round fight. And,
100%.
Taya gets all like 60-70, where Derek only gets 20.
Yeah, you could argue that this is obviously Derek Lewis fought Francis Ngannou, so this statement won't be 100% true, but you could argue that both of these guys are fighting the most power they've ever fought, right? I think Derek Lewis is the hardest puncher Tai Tuivasa ever fought, and Tai Tuivasa could be one of the hardest punchers and one of the most technical strikers he's ever fought. So, I kind of like the more, but it'd be foolish to do that line when we have Knockout Kings. So we'll talk about Knockout Kings in a second, because I'm just going to double that up in Knockout Kings. But let's take a look at Andre Arlovski, because this is another.
Everybody else.
Oh yeah, that's free money. Thank you for the free money. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about that later. But
Arlovski's fighting Jared Vanderaa. Jared Vanderaa, a big, heavy wrestler almost his whole career. And then he comes to the UFC. They match him up against some monster wrestlers, and he's evolved into a striker. He's now a busy striker, solid jab, constant movement. And Andrei Arlovski is Andrei Arlovski, former heavyweight champion. He's 43 years old now, but he's won 4 of his last 5. His last 2 were very long decisions against other strikers that they went tit for tat. His chin is holding up. His footwork is fantastic. His speed is still there. So Andrei Arlovski fighting like a 38-year-old and not a 43-year-old. It's an interesting one. Did you lower this line? Was Andre a little higher?
No, I raised him. I had him lower, and I actually raised him. And I'm just gonna let you in on my theory. What I'm trying to do on this one is I'm trying to kind of trap people because I'm hoping people take the unders on this because I see heavyweights, and because a lot of our users aren't, they don't do their homework really. They just kind of like tune in and they see heavyweights and they throw in right before the fights. That's when I've told you this multiple times that we get all our action right before the fight. So it's always good to tune in and listen to it, especially here. I'm going to let you in on what my thoughts with this one is until it doesn't work and I look like an idiot. But right now, if you look at the round line, I mean, this is straight up going to a decision according to Vegas. Right now, it's minus 180 that this fight goes to a decision. And my theory here is because like we spoke about this before the broadcast, just kind of like how Andre he still has his chin. I mean, I remember when Tom Aspinall unloaded on him for an entire round and he somehow, he got choked out, but he didn't get knocked out. And It's like, so he's going to stand and box. And when you look at some of these fight logs with Andre, especially with like he had 84 against Felipe, but when you look like Sherman, he has a ceiling of 109. And then if you date back to like Ben Rothwell, this is the one that made me raise it. Is he went to a decision with Ben Rothwell and threw 160, and then on the other side here, I'm not going to say he's going to throw 160, but when you look at how Vanderaa fought Tafa, it was a very similar kind of fight, and I think that, and he threw 140, and if we see something like that, they should skyrocket over these. So this is a fight. I definitely raised them up just kind of based on that and where the lines are. And I'm hoping people come in on the unders. I'm trying to get people to take unders because I personally think, I think it's going to be over. And I might be raising them again. I'm going to be quick to raise them if people come in on it. So that's my theory on this one. And you're right, dude. Andre's been around forever. I remember him when I was in high school.
Yeah. Oh, he's he was the champ in like 2001 or something crazy. So I actually still think more and more is the play. I do think Andrei Arlovski dances around to a jab win, and I think he gets a bunch of strikes. The numbers you listed, Andrei Arlovski versus Ben Rothwell 160 or whatever, Jared Vanderaa 160 versus Justin Tafa. The difference is those other guys are not really moving targets. Ben Rothwell is not known for his footwork. Tafa is not known for his footwork, where Andrei Arlovski absolutely is a moving target. Jared Vanderaa, in his fight against Tafa, looked like a phenomenal striker. All of a sudden, that guy looked like an incredible striker. He's not. He's a volume striker now, even though he's a wrestler. But, it could surprise us. There could be a knockout. They are heavyweights, but Andrei Arlovski's chin is holding up. Jared seems to be pretty durable. But Jared could wrestle here. So, I like the more and more. I agree with Vegas. I think odds are this goes to a decision. It is a kickboxing match. And you got to go with Andrei Arlovski, who's been winning this exact fight this last year and a half. So I like more and more. I'm actually going to play it right now. Yeah. And you know what I like to do? I like to throw yesterday. I should have.
Oh no, I moved. We're good. You know what? That's what I love about like just the interaction that we have and just watching your show throughout the week. Because like when my weeks start, we go through so many fighters. All I have is this data that's in front of me, and I just try to piece together stuff kind of like a puzzle. So when I see these ceilings of 116, I mean, I'm just like, well, shit, that's a lot of punches. He's very capable of doing it. So I love hearing the breakdowns about how he's a standing target, how he's not. And, and you're absolutely right. And that's another reason why I tweak my stuff throughout the week. I put my lines out. I listen to your podcast. I listen to things for that because you can't really measure that in a statistic. So that's why it's really good to have people on your side. And that's why I love it, man. And that's why you guys need to listen to the podcast on Tuesday and get this information because I leave those lines for you guys. And then I watch the podcast in the morning. As you can see on my TV, I was going through them. And that's when I start to adjust them because sometimes the fight doesn't have action. But if you guys are convinced, and, I take your word for a lot of things. You guys are the experts here. And if you're telling me that these guys don't fight different, and I'll change it just based off of that information alone. So like I said,
feeding you bad info.
It's me versus you, but in reality, you're hurting you and your users, but not really because you're giving them an opportunity to get in on these lines. So
Yeah, so if you
get
don't know,
in
we do
before we move them.
our live breakdowns Tuesday night with the opening lines that Chris sets. And if the line is off or if we feel strongly in one direction, he leaves it there as a courtesy overnight for you guys to hit it. And then in the morning, he'll make whatever adjustments he needs to make. Let's move on to the slates. The slates are my favorite thing about Monkey Knife Fight. If we move into the slates, one of them is Knockout Kings. And Knockout Kings, you pick any 3 fighters, any 3 on the entire card. And if you get 1 KO or TKO, you get 25% return on your money. You bet 100, you get 125. That doesn't sound like a huge return, but it is basically guaranteed money, especially on a card like this. And a card like this, you might want to experiment with trying to get 2 knockouts so you can 2.5 times your money. I think step 1 when you build this is you just double up the co-main event. Is that pretty much what everybody's doing?
If you're smart, and I mean, you have to. It's like minus 500 to go to a decision, and these guys aren't going to sub each other. I mean, and again, to be real with you, I had a conversation with some guys with work because sometimes we have to adjust it just because the odds don't make sense, and that 25% return that we give you is actually a lot better than what it should be. But with this one, the thing is I believe we're running a promotion. I probably should have looked into that before I jump on air and stuff representing my company. But we usually run those promos that if you can get the 3-3, split the pot. And I think we're doing that again. And for the sake of those, it makes it tricky because now you have to pick one. You can't just shoot split. So, and people are greedy. People want the big paydays. They ain't out to grind out. They ain't doing this week in, week out. They ain't trying to grind out 25%. So they're not, a lot of people aren't turned on to that. So, but you're right. Yeah. If you want to grind it out, because this is, a marathon, it's not a sprint. We're here week in, week out. It's like, the smart thing to do is take your 25%.
That's what I do
free like this.
Every single week. I'm just looking for my 25%. So now we need a third fighter. You could go Israel Adesanya. Obviously he won the first fight by stoppage. AJ Dobson, super live. That dude's taking people's heads off with just sheer speed and viciousness. Alex Perez, that probably goes to a decision, but we've seen him stop you with leg kicks. Carlos Ulberg, nasty, nasty kickboxer. He's fighting Fabio Charant, who's coming off a loss. Ronnie Lawrence is a nasty wrestler that has 1 million takedowns per fight. This is KO or TKO. If you think he ends up on top and just elbows Manny Martinez in the mouth over and over, there's your stoppage. Casey O'Neill, definitely 100% no. Do not put her in this. Nasrat Haqparast, do you think he can stop Bobby Green? Probably not. Let's see. Jeremiah Wells, decently live. Kyler Phillips, probably not. Jared Cannonier, potentially. Hanato Moicano, Maxim Grishin or William Knight. Either one of those is a solid play. William Knight's taking people's heads off. Maxim Grishin, if you think that Maxim is going to knock out William because William's taking this on short notice, he's going to gas. He's a solid play. And probably not Andre Arlovski. I think I'm going to go AJ Dobson.
That's funny you went with him. That was the big Easter egg we left you yesterday. If you guys watch your breakdown on AJ Dobson, I had such a ridiculous line on him, and it was just a complete mess up on my end. You even called me out on it, and I was like, why do 91? I'm like, I have him. I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know why I have him at 91. Those were the projections for the other guy, and I put him in for him, but we adjusted that.
Well, hopefully people capitalized on a little bit of a typo there. So
I'm going
to max it out at $50, and I could build a few more of these if I wanted to, but I'm going to throw $50 at it. We'll lock that in, and there it is. And I just want to take a look at one more slate that I absolutely love, and that is your 3 for 3s. But these can get tricky, but your 3 for 3s are always nice because you can 5 times your money if you wait till later in the week, 4 times your money if you do it earlier in the week. We got Ronnie Lawrence, Carlos Ulberg, and Sergey Morozov. Yikes. These are tough lines. I hate.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, it does not. I'm going to leave this alone, and we'll look at a rapid fire very quickly because rapid fires, you just need to pick between these two who you think's going to land more strikes, between Casey O'Neill and Israel Adesanya. And Izzy gets 28. Oh, boy. I got to go Izzy here. He's got 5 rounds to work with. And then between Bobby Green and Ronnie Lawrence, who's going to get more? Bobby Green gets a half. Ooh, that's a tricky one too. I got to go Bobby Green, right? I think I'm going to go Bobby Green there. Even though Ronnie Lawrence gets a million takedowns, he might actually get a stoppage where Bobby won't. I'm going to go Bobby Green, $10 to win 25, and I'll lock it in. Any parting words for us, Chris?
Yeah, you just got a really good line there. I got to refresh that because I just raised Israel's line and it didn't catch up to that. So you just got a great line. I'm gonna refresh that. So good eye. No, it's great to be back, and it's it's been fun catching back with the channel and getting into a rhythm. I hate how we had this month layoff just to come back with a weak ass card to a pay-per-view to a week off, and it's just like we're finally starting to catch back on rhythm. So it's good. It's just good having the process back. I didn't know my Tuesday nights, my Wednesdays, everything. It's good to be back. So I'm excited for this week. It should be a good one.
Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I know everybody watching appreciates it. You don't need to do this. It's literally your job is to set these lines and try to win. Our job is to break them down and try to win. So I love having this relationship where we could get some insight and help each other out. Here. So
we're all people helping people for the great cause, right? We all love the sport and it's fun. So it keeps us interested. It's great. Well, cool, man. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. See you then. Thanks so much.
I don't think I get suspended. I didn't do anything to get suspended this week. So
not yet. We'll see what happens with these lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Later.